we're going to bounce around quite a bit.
Let's do it, bro. Let's do it.
We have a runway. We have a runway about 30 minutes.
Let's do it.
So this is going to be a power episode. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some really cool sound bites and clips from past episodes. So we're going to do a little reminiscing.
Idea. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That.
So let's see how much we remember. So this is a milestone episode. This is going to be episode 100. And so, I was talking with AI about this episode, and it was like, is Abel still a co-host? I was like, yes. I was like, he will still be a co-host as long as he still comes back at least a couple times a year.
Well, thanks,
man.
I
was like, he started it with me. He put in a lot of effort into this with me. So like,
yeah, it was a fun. It was. I think this might have been our first idea that we actually ran with. To some degree. Yeah.
We were dedicated
every week. Yeah, it was good.
For almost 2 years.
Yeah, man, it was fun. It's been fun. Yeah. It's always been fun.
Yeah. So Abel was one of the earliest co-hosts of the show, and he helped build what it became before transitioning to, reoccurring guests. So it was just you, me, and a couple other guys were joining in too. Chance, you and Chance were in it.
Yep.
And we all have to pivot, and that's just part of being in life and in business and stuff. So,
absolutely.
But bringing you back for episode 100 is kind of like bringing this into a full circle moment. So,
I like that.
So, a quick word through, kind of like a quick thought is, with this being the 100th episode, what does it take to keep going? Kind of comes to mind.
Yeah.
Another thing that comes to mind is, what does it take to get to episode 100? What does it take to get to 10 years in business? What does it take to get to 10 years in a marriage? Like,
yeah, man, I think that's a great question. And you and I both know the answer, and you could sugarcoat it however. A lot of people, they have different ideas, but I think you and I have learned over the course of our friendship and our lives here that what does it take? Just show up. Just show up. How many times have we not felt like doing whatever, right? And you just show up, right? And it's like, nobody's going to do it for you, right? And at the same time, it's like, even if it's not easy, you still should just do it. And sometimes it is easy. You should still do it,
It's kind of like going to the gym. And there's been times where we've
that's a great example.
We've hit a podcast and there's been plenty of them where it's like, that was all right.
Yeah.
Then it makes those that actually hit and we're all in the zone and the conversations are fired and we're like, that was it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, man, I think that's a great thing to bring up. 100 episodes is a big deal. We both have friends that have started lots of podcasts and
businesses.
Friends and businesses and at the end of the day, it's consistency, because much like has happened to us in life, life happens, right? And then you have to shift, you have to pivot, you have to reassess what's important in that time of life, right? So it's a choice that it's important, and it's a choice to be consistent, and then at the end, whether it's the marriage, the business, the podcast, like there's no other option for it to succeed. It's kind of the way I see it.
So give me a brief I'm gonna give you a brief introduction of yourself and then you give me a brief introduction of myself. So for those who don't know Abel is a partner owner in ARC Outdoorsman. He's a wonderful father, and he's been running this business to about $1.5 to $2 million a year. They're about 8 years in business, going on into your 8th year. I would consider him an expert in leadership, a quality leader. He's accountable to his team. He's really good at delegation, CEO kind of style mindset, and he loves to build a quality business culture. Really cares about his people, making sure his people come before him when needed. Kind of philosophy that I put together is he wants to provide, protect, and create. And he's known for being ruthless to his calendar discipline, his schedule, his accountability to his team and to his family. His family comes first. His team comes second. Making sure everyone's taken care of. He's really good at communication, taking calculated risk, and a no-fluff approach to business.
Sounds like my eulogy. I'm just kidding. No, this is great. Man, thanks, Brayden.
That's my version.
I'm walking into like the bullpen here. Thank you for one. That's an eye-opening experience I think more people should do. have someone else give a description, And I know we see it often, right? We go to like these meetings and, oh, here's so-and-so, and this is all their degrees and all their shit and whatnot. But I guess I never thought that maybe I would have one of those biographies or whatever too. So it's kind of weird.
You do now?
Yeah.
You at least got something to start with.
I like that. Braden, man, it's hard to, I would say, pinpoint where I would start.
But what would you say if someone doesn't know me? How would you introduce that? You got a few hits. Welcome to the stage.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking when I was coming up with some of these notes.
And that's literally what I'm trying to think is like, man, first thing I think of you is high energy. Really good high energy, and mine's not gonna be as pretty. You had time to think this over, but like,
I'm really putting you on the spot on this one.
You really are. You really are. But man, I think probably one of the things that I would say that I've noticed with you, and what I would say is you have a high energy, which is almost contagious in the best way, because there has been times in business where maybe I was scared and your energy and your risk tolerance seems to be non-existent in my eyes. Now, after conversation, we both know we're both scared shitless, but I think that's probably what I see from my perspective of what has benefited me. Now, on the flip side, I see you as a father and as a husband. I see what you've done with these boys and Leia and Leslie, and it's impressive. I am blessed with my family, but we have different challenges. We have different lives, right? And I see the juggle that you make there. And I think that, again, it's that high energy, right? There's so many things that you have to juggle and try to balance, and as many of us do in life. And that would be like the one thing that I would tell everybody. It's like, this guy has extremely high energy. He's going to be the guy that shows up. And at the end of the day, whenever all shit goes to hell, he's going to juggle it. He's going to juggle it really well. But I don't have the time to like put up a really awesome this whole thing for you. But yeah, man, I think again,
you have AI now. You got Gemini, so you can.
Yeah, you're right. But I didn't have time to go into that. But like I said, I think it's the high energy, because I even see like when the boys are around you, man. I think that is the coolest thing that I don't experience because I have girls, right? And you have your older boys. And maybe that's where that high energy comes from. Is like when you get around your boys, I see the little boy and you come back out. And I see this energy, this carelessness, this almost not aversion to risk, but almost you want to run towards it. And as a man, seeing a man teaching boys, I really admire that, that how often we are scared in life. And then we just, hey, man, my family and my team's counting on me, so I'm just going to have to do it. So yeah, even though it's not as pretty, that's more or less what I'd say. Like, this is guy, he's high energy. He's going to make you do shit you don't want to do, but it's for your own good. No bad things. It's always just like, you can do this. We can do this. Come on, just start, type of mentality, which I think is more people need that in our lives. Too many of us are surrounded by people. It's like, oh, what if it goes wrong? Or you're on the other end. It's like, yeah, but what if it goes right? Let's break it. Whatever, we'll fix it. I think that's a very admirable and needed quality for our youth, really.
Yeah.
Everybody's scared. That's okay. Anyways, sorry, it's not as pretty. Next question.
That's great. No, that's good. Yeah. No, that's funny. So like the risk taker thing, right? We're all entrepreneurs. We all take risk, but I don't just jump off a cliff into water and hope that I'm going to live.
Yeah.
Right. And everything's going to be fine and dandy.
Yeah.
I think that's ignorant. I think it's important to take calculated risks. And I think you kind of learn to decipher
yeah, absolutely.
And I think you, after experiences, you get quicker at deciphering those risks and calculating them faster, right? Yep. So I had someone tell me, I was like, hey, what are your projections? We were talking about business. I was like, okay, what are your projections for June or July? Or what about Q3 or the end of the year? Like, do you know any way to possibly project financials? They're like, oh, no, but it'll come in. That's a scary thing that you just told me. Like, okay, man, like he's like, that's why we're in business. We're entrepreneurs and we take risk. I said, you'll experience one day that is a terrible philosophy. and
ask us how we know.
Man, trust me, the question that I've always asked, that we've always had conversations about is like, do you dive in and figure it out and just get started, or should you be more prepared? And I think I would say a healthy balance is required
Yeah.
to have them to in a philosophy of having a calculated risk over the years. And of course, that calculated risk is jump right in and just get started if the risk is low and the win is fair or high, right? Mm-hmm. But if the risk is potentially to be catastrophic and you're going to lose it all, that risk should probably be pretty prepared.
Yeah,
if you got a chance of dying jumping off this cliff and you don't know what's at the bottom, you should probably take a moment, go to the bottom, scout it out,
or just don't jump,
or just don't jump.
Right,
or just say it's not worth it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, so. I think that's a really good point, and I think the nail on the head there was it comes faster the longer you do it. Right, we get better at making those decisions the more we do it. You know, and again, it just takes time. It's 100 episode, right? It gets faster and easier the more you do it. The first couple episodes, dude, they were bad. They were bad. And we're like, oh god. And then now
it's like bad. The audio was rough.
Yeah, but okay. Here's a good example of again an example of your energy and you're pushing me to do something. The podcast, right? There was an idea that we're like, yeah, and then we're like, hey, being on camera and might like do that's weird. I don't know if we want to do that, and then we did it, and now because of you pushing me to do something like that, I could show up dang near anywhere and talk to anyone. And it's like, oh, whatever.
It's helped you be a better communicator.
Right. It's like, yeah,
an
whatever.
on-the-spot communicator.
Exactly. Yeah. That is, again, something that was a risk, depending on who you ask, that I would have been like, yeah, I'm going to not do this. And then again, hanging out with you, getting that high energy, just, there's no way this could go wrong. And then here we go, you know, like we're in all these years and it's like, well, did it go wrong? Yeah, sure. We screwed up along the way a couple times and we didn't hit record or whatever the case may be, but you learned something, you got better at it, you know? So I think that's, again, going back to that quality, man, it's a big one.
I'm going to highlight this because I haven't done this in a long time, but Gregor and Coffee Roasters is still selling beans.
Yeah.
And they still got our label on it and stuff like that. So it's great. So today's episode is brought to you by Gregor and Coffee Roasters. Do I look at the camera like everyone else does on YouTube? So you can use that code Brews for 10% off your order at gregoroncoffee.com. So whether you're listening to this on your morning run, your commute, or right now with a cup in hand, Gregoron is the move.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good coffee. Always good coffee. And great guy.
Yeah. And speaking of coffee, we're drinking some ice shaken espressos.
Thank you, Brandon.
Delicious.
That's my breakfast and lunch for today.
Yeah. All right. So take a breath. This is going to be a vibe setter. We've got some of these segments and 25 minutes to go.
Let's do it.
All righty. So 100 episodes. We've talked with founders, CEOs, operators, coaches, veterans, and entrepreneurs, professionals, employees from like dang near any industry, like across the board. And there's one thing that I've seen that keeps coming up are the ones who are continually succeeding, that show up and that dedicate and that communicate and they actually put their heart and soul into it. And it's not always the one with the best idea or the most money. And these are the ones who, like I said, just kept showing up, right? And I think it's important to reflect on that. Even if you're not feeling like showing up to the gym, it's important to go ahead and show up to the gym and to be there. The feeling will come. It's kind of like love. Love is a verb. It's not a feeling. So love comes from the actions that you take and the routines that you build. Right. And that's how you prove to show someone that you love. It's kind of like the same way in business.
Yep.
You got to keep showing up to it, taking care of it, and loving it. It's not reading it. It's not attending seminars, but it's doing it. Right. So you and I have been in the arenas for years. And is there any reflective thoughts that you have on that?
Yeah. Because I'm sort of kind of going through a thing right now. You can say keep showing up. Keep showing up, but maybe don't keep doing the same thing.
Because otherwise, if you're expecting the same thing, different result, you're an idiot.
Well, not only that, we'll go to the gym theory, dude. If you show up to the gym every day and you only run, it gets harder to show up to the gym if you know you're only going to run.
Yeah.
But you know, if you show up to the gym because you didn't feel like going to the gym, maybe today decide to do arms, right? Like, you're going to do it. Tired of a CEO? Yeah. So that's like the theory there, right? It's like, yes, keep on showing up. And I say this as a business owner because I'm going through a situation right now where say, I love showing up. I want to show up, but maybe I don't want to do the same thing I'm doing every day that I show up. And as business owners, over time, you get the ability to create this idea of a life. And again, don't think that you have to do, like, for instance, a very simple thing. Right now, I don't really want to deal with customers anymore. I don't mind them. They're great. I love people. I love customers. But I'd really just like to weed eat the back of the shop because I just want to weed eat the back of the shop and I could use a good workout. But I can't because I have work to do, right? So it's like, so how do I transition from just showing up to do my job to transition to showing up something differently that is still meaningful work that matters to the business, right? So again, yeah, always show up, but it's okay to mix it up.
One thing that we've always done, one thing that we picked up was a habit for the Diary of a CEO cards.
Yeah.
These great conversation cards.
Oh yeah. It's been a minute.
We've went through the whole deck by now. I think we've had this for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, this is a great podcast. It's one of my favorites. The point of these cards is supposed to empower true human connection.
And they're great questions. Too hard?
I don't know. Some of these do.
Some of them are hard, man.
Some of them you look at and you're like, oh man.
I don't want to answer that.
I don't want to answer that.
That's the point.
This is
for sure.
This is kind of halfway that. How could you be more authentically you? And I have kind of a thought with that. Is a lot of the times, sometimes I get decision fatigue, right? And sometimes I don't want to upset somebody. Sometimes I want to make just be smooth. You know, you make the decision, you make the call, you can decide what happens, whatever else. And I think that gives the perception of me that sometimes like I don't care, which is not true. Or sometimes I don't share what I want, or what maybe I think is best if I can share that. Or sometimes I just don't take charge in the situation. Sometimes what would you do? And I want to get their feedback first. And I think I take this too far where it bites me in the butt to where it's, I don't know, a couple of those examples that I mentioned, but instead I don't know.
That's a good question.
I think I need to kind of carefully figure out that balance of, I don't want to overdo the take charge thing and share my idea, my opinion, my whatever. But I also want to communicate with someone to know that's like, hey, you know, if we're doing something together and I think that this is a really bad idea, I need to tell you, this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
And I don't like this. And that may hurt your feelings, and I don't care. I care about you. I care about your feelings, but I also feel so strongly about something to where I don't need to be afraid to like, you know, to where again, I kind of do that little assessment in my head where I'm like, okay, this is how I really feel. This is how I really think, whatever. Can I share this? You know, can I take this next step? Can I do this thing? A lot of times I don't too, because I just don't want to like.
Right. Man, that's.
Is that making sense?
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. And honestly, the question, I hate it. Because what could you do to be more authentically yourself? I think in order to answer that question, I have to ask another question, which is, who am I really? Because that, you know, when I really think about that question, who am I? Like, who am I really? To become more authentically myself, it gets tough. Because, and maybe you can understand this thought process, but how can I be my authentic self if I seem to be in a continuous pursuit of a better self? You know, and that's a tough answer. That's a tough question, man. But I think in the grand scheme of things, the best way I could answer that is going to be very much similar to yourself in the methods of just listening to myself when I have certain things in my mind or thoughts or whatever the case may be. You know, I have a theory that God only gives each one of us these dreams and desires and goals and visions to those who can actually fulfill them, right? He gives each of us our own ideas. And I think oftentimes I decide that maybe I'm not capable or whatever. And maybe I should just listen to those ideas. Sometimes they're bad ideas, but they might be fun, you know, and fun's okay. You know, like jumping off the cliff.
Mistakes are okay too.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll never know if you don't try, right? So like, yeah, I think that would be the answer for me of how I could be more authentically myself is just listen and do. Maybe not think so much all the time. There's a lot of times where I have feelings and I have these intuitions that I feel I are the right steps. And then inside of me, I'm just like, but what if it's not? What if it's not? And then I second guess it. And, I think that's actually kind of teaching myself, my brain, to not listen to myself. So that would be it. And I hate that question because over the past few weeks, I've been asking myself two very important questions. And I can't come up with the answer. And I can, but I guess, I don't know. Question one being, what is the meaning or point of all of this? Right? We all ask that question pretty regularly. We'll all come up with our own answers. And sure, whatever, right? The answer's not relevant. It's the second question that's relevant is, why can't we be okay with that answer? And that's like a whole nother thing. It's like, wait a second, but I am okay. It's like, but are you? And then you start to really think about it. It's like, you're not. Like, you're not okay with that answer. It doesn't make any sense. So again,
you've kind of taught me to remind myself to be content.
Yeah, right.
With a lot of things.
Right, right. So it's like, but when you really dig down, how do I become more authentically myself? Well, who am I really? Like what is the authentic self? We all have multiple beings of who we want to be, right? But what's the most authentic one? Because the father that I am is different than the husband that I am, which is different than the CEO that I am, and so on and so forth. It's like, well, which one's the authentic one? I don't know.
Yeah, which hat am I wearing now?
Right,
and
right.
What version of me does somebody know?
So that question is
the
tough.
Purest version of you. Like who really knows that? Is I think who sees you in those different hats.
Right.
So like I've seen you wear a lot of hats.
Right. and that's what I mean. Like that question is tough, man. I love that question. And always all the questions that they're good, man. But it's hard to answer that one whenever here lately I've been in the state of, well, who am I really? Like what do I really want? And then what's the point of all
what
this?
am I capable of?
Yeah, what's the point of all this?
Where's my value? Where's my place?
Exactly. So that's a
I'm
tough
also
one, man.
kind of feeling like lately too, we can't go too much deeper between us
good.
both. A few more minutes. Like, I'm unemployable. You told me this before.
Yeah.
You're like, at this point,
we're screwed.
We're screwed. Like we're so far in it. I have partially for shits and gigs for the last 3 to 4 years. I've been applying for jobs between pays of $50,000 to $300,000. These are corporate. These are local. Like they're all across the board. And I've even went to some interviews. Some same industry. Some where they're completely different industries. Some where they've got some job alignment that I've had, and most of them to where most of them where there are the similar job alignment with skills and background. So I'm like, I want to see how far I get in an interview. I want to see if I get an offer.
Right.
I just want to see what other people would be like. Oh, yeah, your skills or whatever. And I'll pay you $300,000 a year. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Whatever.
I'll close the doors right now.
Yeah. So, but I don't make it.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's just partially because of who I am. I think it's because of the amount of history that I have. And I think it's what I do.
Yeah.
I think it's the business stuff.
Yeah, I think, well, and a lot of that comes down to, I had my uncle told me one time, and I don't mean this towards you. It's just entrepreneurs. This fits all of us. So one time somebody told him he was being an asshole. And I think this carries throughout maybe. And he said, hey, I didn't always used to be an asshole. You guys made me an asshole. And I think being in business long enough just has a tendency to make you an asshole. Because you have to callous up to a lot of the hardships that no one's there to save you. Nobody's going to put a Band-Aid on you. Nobody's going to give you a wet rag to help you clean up. Like, no, dude, you're on your own. So to some degree, you have to callous up. You have to turn into this person. So then it becomes almost to where even more unemployable because why? Well, because you carry yourself a little differently because, that we've all heard that who's going to carry the boats, right? Motherfucker, I carried this boat by myself so long, I don't need you. It's the mentality that we have because we've done it so long. But so
many people have come and gone, and people have done their jobs and more people have not done their jobs.
Right. But in
and
reality,
I've had to pick back up.
But we know, but I want to say this with the reality of, we also understand that we're wrong, that we didn't carry the boats by ourselves. We had a team. Yeah. We had a team, but we are so used to leading the team, to being the person.
And also being the one that's left over when there is no team.
Right. And then going.
So it's still that same feeling of loneliness.
Right. It is. Exactly. So whenever we go apply for these jobs or whatever, our mentality is different than someone who's been an employee. Right. So that's what I think maybe that kind of runs into that. It's like, maybe it's not the skills. It's more like the way we see the world is way different than most people.
And the way we operate.
The way we operate is just different because we had to operate in a different world.
Yeah. Leslie told me recently, she's like, you and several other business, Brad and there was Mike and a bunch of other people. She was like, y'all are the same. The way you guys operate, the minds, like the decisions you make, the way you conversate. She was saying about a story where somebody was kind of went off on the whole team and called people out in a meeting and stuff because it was catastrophic things. Like the system is broken and it's causing problems with billing, with deliverables and all this stuff. And she's like, it made me feel real uncomfortable. And I was like,
that's the point.
That's the point. That's the point. Because I've gotten to the point to where everybody is going to sink or swim together. Okay. We're only as strong as our weakest link. That stands true. You may not like it. Everybody on the team may not like it when I call you out, and get you guys to try to communicate and fix the problems because you're like, oh, he yelled at me. It's like, no, yeah, I need you to be accountable to you. And if he isn't doing the job that you need to do your job, you need to say, hey, I can't do my job because of you. If you guys can't figure it out, call dad. Hi, I'll step in. I'll help mitigate and figure out the problem.
Yeah.
But by the time I get to the point where I'm like, family meeting, this shit's fucked.
Yeah.
Then I'm pissed. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, dad's yelling. You know, just shut up.
Yeah.
You got a job to do. I'm paying you to do a job. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to just kind of, I tell my boys that sometimes too. I'm like, I'm your dad first and your friend later. My job is to make sure you're a responsible human being that's a contribution to society, and be a good person and just stay alive. And outside of that, I do just like same thing at work with employees. You got a job to do. You don't do your job. We're not doing barbecue Fridays.
Yeah. Right. I
don't want to do barbecue Fridays.
I love that you just brought up your boys because my brothers and I brought up something the other day, and I know we're going a little bit of tangent. We need to get back on track, but I want to say this because this is important. We were having a conversation the other day, and I know your boys are in that transition age, right? They're testing you. They're trying to see, how big of a man they're going to be type situation. It's normal human behavior.
A few months ago, Cole bulked up to me. Do you know
Yeah,
that?
you told me about that, right. So I'm going to tell you something here. Growing up, my parents used to tell me, you guys have no idea how good it feels when I get a compliment about you kids. Like, it just feels really good. As a parent, you know that feeling. When some random person's like, wow, your boys are so well-mannered or whatever the case. Dude, you're like beaming with pride. Beaming with pride.
Like I made that.
Yeah, that's right. There's a feeling that your boys will get one day that flips completely 360. They will grow up one day and they're going to say, man, you're an amazing man. And they're going to be like, that's my mom and dad's fault. They're going to beam with pride because that was mom and dad's fault. And I think that's something we need to remember because we forget that. But as a kid, it's like, okay, move along. And mom and dad are like beaming with pride. And then as an adult, you're like, well, thank you. That's my mom and dad's fault. Like, it's a cool feeling. And I just had to bring that up because we came up with that the other day. I was like, holy crap, that mom and dad aren't even here to get the compliment. But holy shit, I'm shining right now. And it's all because of them. But as a kid, you're just like, okay, keep moving, keep playing, whatever. And
you don't realize how much they pour.
You don't realize, but I say that because again, your boys are in that transition area right now, and I think that that's a beautiful feeling that I know you've had as well. You're like, yeah, that's mom and dad. I mean, I know I am who I am, but mom and dad put those character traits into me, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
right. But anyways, go ahead.
Next section. You ready for a segment called Brewed Wisdom?
Ooh, I like this.
So this is a few minutes to where we're going to tease the lesson, name the guest episode, and we're going to do like a little react riff.
Okay.
So like, did that sort of thing that we remember from that episode, did it hold up? That's kind of the idea from
Let's hear it.
Right? or what did we learn from it? And so these are kind of rapid fire. I've got 9 that I saved. An uneven number, so it's actually thought through. Okay. So one is, you remember when we talked with Harley at Get Better Bookkeeping, and the most repeated theme of the whole run, and there was actually another episode where we talked about it too, was knowing your numbers or someone else will.
And I onboarded a gal where she's like, I don't even know where anything is. Like she's just grown so fast with her practice that she's just like, money comes in, money comes out. I don't even know. Like other people are doing it in our company, and she's just delegated to the nth degree. And so to her, getting to the spot of knowing her numbers is kind of a scary feeling. What I told her is that, hey, you might get a sticker shock about how it's going to look, but right now you have a fear of the unknown. But when you have the reality of knowing what your facts are, you now can do something about it.
Right.
And with us, I want to make sure in these financial reviews, you could see 20 different things that are issues. And these are not just reviews where we tell you what's going on and then good luck figuring it out. I want them to leave with just saying, hey, yeah, there's a lot. We're going to start with these 2 because these are the first quickest moves to make a difference in your profitability or your cash flow.
Yeah.
That held up.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely 100% held up. And we both actually used Harley. And personally, I think he did help me see numbers a little clearer. And it did help, you know, and it holds up, man. You need to know your numbers. I think that even goes as farther as we've read, you know, traction, scorecards. There's a number. Everything in your business has a number. I love numbers. My kids make fun of me because like, why do you like numbers? Because numbers tell a story and they don't lie. There's nothing inconspicuous about an 8 is an 8, a 9 is a 9, a 6 is a 6. 2? Which 2? T-O or T-O-O or T-W-O? It's hard. A number 2 is a number 2. So there's a number. Know your numbers or someone else will. Absolutely.
This number 2 one, I've got to move to number 9, but I'll come back to it. Jason Rains, you weren't on this one, but he does pretty good at drinking beer barbecue, and he also donated barbecue to the Demand Project for the last and whiskey tasting,
cool.
which we raised $14,000 for at no cost to the Demand Project.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And so far, in the last, since we started in whiskey, we've done over $150,000 for nonprofits. That's last 2 years.
That's awesome.
Like that. Yep. So,
next one.
He made a comment about being dead ass to last.
You know, that's the other part. You know, you talked about the finishing what we call DAL or dead ass last. But then, you know, the first time that you get some calls and get some trophies and, you know, it's just a feeling like you just won the world. You know, that's it. You know, this is it. I've plateaued and
being dead ass to last.
Yeah. And I wonder if I can pull that clip out. So if I can pull that clip out and throw that in,
I'm curious.
And then we'll have to go back and watch that because I don't remember that exact thing. But dead ass to last to Grand Reserve. I remember that conversation, but I don't remember the exact thing, so we got to come back on that. You're officially unemployable. There's a number of things that could go wrong in business. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean if you failed, fine. But it could have been one thing that caused that and you couldn't have controlled it.
Right. I think when we say we're unemployable, I think we both know like we could probably find a job. We'll find something. But we're just not unemployable, I think, in our heads. Like, I'm sorry, it's going to be really hard for me to say yes sir, no sir. And I can't be there for this. I can or cannot be there for that. Like, I'd rather take a pay cut or lose a paycheck than you tell me I can't be somewhere or can't do something. You know, so that's, I think, the unemployable aspect for me is like, I could probably find a job, but I there's no way I could give somebody else control over my future. Yeah.
we just talked about
that one.
That stands. The boundaries cost you clients and they're worth it.
And I'm sure it happens a lot with me, with many other customers. It happens to me. Text them over or call them. I just need a real quick answer so I can finish this project. Like, I am like an hour away from finishing this project. And if they give me this 5-second answer, boom, I got this homemade. And then they respond 7 hours later. Like, well, dude, I was waiting on you for 30 minutes. I wasted 30 minutes waiting on a text back or a call back. You didn't text me back. 7 hours later, I've already worked on 2 other projects. And it's like, well, they're setting their boundary, but now we're the bad guys because we didn't respond back as soon as they responded to us 7 hours later. It's like, it doesn't really make sense,
4-day work week, firing clients, discussion sort of thing. So setting boundaries with clients can cost you clients, and that's worth it. So saying no when a no needs to be no. So it's like, can you go out of scope and just do this pro bono for me every time or whatever? Yeah. So,
it is worth it. Absolutely.
And if it costs you a client, sometimes you just got to say no.
You just got to say no.
So that still holds.
Even if you took them on, you got to say no.
Or sometimes you got to say no before you take them on.
Yeah. No. And I just say that because sometimes you don't know until you're working with them. And then you realize that, hey, once we're done with this project, we're just done.
Conversation that we've had too is that a product or service is worth what someone tells you it's worth and what they're willing to pay, not what you think it is.
Yeah.
So the market determines that.
The market determines value. It does. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you can have some say in that value, right? Like if I show up in an unstickered out truck and nothing, whatever, they're not going to pay.
It's usually a range, though.
Yeah.
There's a predetermined market range.
Absolutely a range. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So it stands.
It stands.
All right. Business is like food. It doesn't care about your race or religion, and it brings people together. It should bring people together.
Yeah, I like that.
This is my saying, and, I haven't quoted it yet, but I should. Food doesn't care about your race. Food doesn't care about your religion. Food doesn't care about politics. What food does is food brings people together. And so that's why I do this. When I do my cooking classes and I see the smiles on those people's faces and I bring a room of people together that don't know each other, and by the end, they're trading numbers and talking and hanging out. And, when I work the farmer's market and people come up and they're like, hey, how are you? We love your stuff. We need some, I've got people that, drive from Claremore to the farmer's market to get stuff, and so that's why I do this. I do this, to bring people together.
That was an interesting conversation too. There's a couple episodes that actually talked about some similarities with business, life, friendships, relationship, and food. That was like, it shouldn't care about that. It should care about the relationship, and it should care about getting the job done.
Yeah, I think that's actually very fair, because I think in the grand scheme of things, business and food do one thing. They provide nourishment and value to whoever's involved, right? So
that's good.
That's it.
Yeah.
It stands.
Okay, so the two questions that we always talk about: are we lucky or are we smart?
It helps if you're a little bit of both. But I wouldn't be able to tell you which one's lucky or smart, man. I feel like we've talked about this many times, right? And there's a famous quote. We've said it before. I don't remember who says it, but the harder I work, the luckier I seem to get. Dude, we just work hard. We make a lot of mistakes, which makes us smarter because we decided to figure out what didn't work. But I think it's a little bit of both, right? Like we really did, technically, if you consider the whole world, we hit the lottery. Like we got pretty good odds here. Life's pretty good. But there is a certain sense of like, you have to be smart enough to believe that you're one of the lucky ones. Even though you're not. You're clearly not, right? But I don't know. We've had this. It's the whole, hey, do you just jump in or do you get prepared first? It's the whole same thing, man. They kind of go hand in hand. And I think you and I could both understand that, yeah, sometimes a perfect example. Actually, this is probably the best way to put it. Luck or smart, right? Did you get lucky that you met that person to that event?
Or were you smart enough
to show up?
See, that's kind of my answer. So I'm smart enough to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to me. And luck will generate itself.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So just get started or be prepared. We kind of kept highlighted on that already, but basically, take calculated risk. There's times we need to be prepared, and there's times where you just need to jump right in and figure it out. So, we've had a lot of repeated guests too. Remember, like some conversations with Kyle Sullivan, great dude. Some good conversations with him. I've had Mindy Salvino on a few times. I've had Don Burdick on. I've had conversations with him a few times.
That's what the last Ann Wixie event was, wasn't it? I recognized it.
It was at his place?
Yeah, I recognized the condo. I was like, dang, that's fun.
Yep. Mason Thatcher, I've had conversations with him a few times.
Cool.
Yep. Remember anybody else?
There was somebody in my mind here.
These were some of the early ones.
There was another guy. Who do we have on? What's his name? Well, Brad's been on a couple times.
Brad, Vertices. Yep.
Yeah. There was another guy. What is his name?
I've had some family on.
It was
Bobby's hopped on this.
Yeah.
Leslie and I have made episodes, but we've had some early adopters who have kind of supported the podcast, which is kind of cool. So
we've had some really awesome people on.
Yeah. So thank you guys for being a part of that. And then, so I was trying to keep us on time for about 12:15. I
appreciate that.
Trying to hit us for like, a 45-minute, 30-minute episode. At least the recording time.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of really cool clips throughout all this that we've seen, that we've watched. So.
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think it's been that long, that many episodes. This is one of those things that I think a lot of us in the business world and entrepreneurs, we fight. What's the ROI? That's the question we asked when we started. What's the ROI on this? Like the whole reason started.
How much am I going to make?
Yeah, trying to get some people in the door.
What am I getting out?
Right.
Yeah.
It's okay for things to just be fun, because you cannot calculate the ROI on something like this. There was a lot of effort. There was a lot of
skill obtained on this.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. Is like there is so much work that you have put into this to make it happen that there's a clear expense, but when it comes to the actual return on that expense, it's incalculable.
The relationships built.
Exactly. But the amount of knowledge that we were able to get, the amount of relationships, friendships, and admittedly, the stories and the trials and tribulations that we've gone through other people, you just can't, you can't put a number on that. So it's like, man, there's those things that as an entrepreneur, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And just talk to them, man. People are smart. Right. And I think that's what this podcast really showed, is like, man, you just talk to people. They're really smart. You don't have to agree with everything, but people are smart. Just talk to them, and
a lot of times you're going to learn.
You're going to learn something.
We learned so much.
I might learn that I don't like braiding. No, just
this guy.
But no, it's just the truth, right? Like you have to have those conversations, and it's always the ROI. That's just how we work. Our brains work. But sometimes being smart enough to show up to the event, there's no ROI on that. Being smart enough to just say, hey, we're going to start having people on here and hopefully we learn something. Dude, we learned a lot from a lot of people. Thankfully, probably saved ourselves from a couple of lessons that we didn't have to learn because someone told us, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing that. So we, whatever the case may be, but I think it's been fantastic. And like I said, we could try to put an ROI on a podcast, because everybody, I want to start a podcast and one day be big or be Theo or Joe Rogan or whatever. It's like, dude, how about you're going to start a podcast and you're going to get something out of it? And probably most likely won't be money.
I've gone through 15 terabytes of data recently. I think I told you about that.
Yeah.
Since 2016.
Yeah.
And I found some photos from podcast stuff from when I first started. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Until like now I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So this is definitely like the whole setup and logistics part of it to me is I finally figured out that I could just press record.
Yeah.
Took a lot of practice, a lot of figuring things out.
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier,
right? And then the
right?
business side of it too, like I took the risk spending tens of thousands of dollars between employees, my time, equipment, space, rent, whatever else for over like 2 and some odd years on the studio stuff to like rent it out and everything else too. That didn't come to fruition. That's okay too, so like I don't mind taking risk.
And you just said something, right? So like it's taken you 2.5 years to figure out how to just push play, right? Like to get it all figured out to where you could just push play and boom, it's going. But anybody who doesn't know would walk in here and they would probably say, wow, you're so lucky to have all this. Wow, you're so smart. But they didn't realize how many times you screwed up, how many times you felt not smart.
Yep.
That again, are you lucky you're smart? I was lucky enough to not stop.
Yeah.
Dumb enough to not stop. Like, I don't know. But in the end, like, dude, anybody walk in here and they'd be like, dang, that's cool. Dang, oh my gosh.
And it looks easy.
So cool. It looks easy.
I've made it easy.
It is easy.
Because
they'd be like, oh, you're so lucky to have this. I would totally be able to do my podcast if I had this. Like, bro, it's taken 2.5 years. I built a whole studio, tear apart a whole studio. I did this camera, did that camera, did all this. Just
you were there. You saw it all evolve.
To make it easy.
Yeah.
Well, I just kept going, But it's been fun. I love seeing the progress. I love having grown up the last few years together. It's been fun too.
Yeah.
You know, seeing the kids growing up and all that.
Yeah.
It's been awesome for sure.
And you get the families together.
For sure. June's fucking crazy for me always.
Yeah. I don't have a call sign or anything really cool. Maybe one day I'll come up with something like that. Like the dishwasher's always full.
Dishwasher. Don't forget to start the dishwasher.
Yeah. Don't forget. It's probably we're going to run with that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I got one. Have you ever been inverted?
No. What?
From Top Gun.
Oh,
Inverted.
like
Have you
lost
gone
it.
inverted? You never seen Top Gun?
Yeah, but I lost that reference. Sorry.
Remember where the two planes are flying like
Oh
this,
yeah. Upside down.
straight?
Yes.
Inverted, and then he does
Gotcha.
that. He's
Yeah.
Doing
That'd be
the
fun.
instructions.
That'd be terrifying, but I'd do it.
You ever been inverted? What's gonna be my call sign? I'm gonna go like that. See the planes flying like this?
I know, but I imagine what people would be like at the end of the whole episode. That was a great episode. You ever been inverted? Like, what
That's
just
how
happened?
I'm gonna end it like that, and then I'm gonna have context. People are only gonna know after this episode.
Just put a little
From now on out.
gun.
Yeah. Actually,
Love
I'm
it.
pretty cool with that.
I love it.
Thank you to everybody who's been a part of this journey.
Yes, thank you
It's been
guys.
amazing.
Yeah.
I've already pre-recorded episode 101, so that'll come
Awesome.
out after this one, and then I'm gonna have some really cool reels from this too. So, like, comment, share, any of the support's really appreciated. If there's anybody or any topics that you want me to have conversations with, or you want on the podcast, reach out, let me know. It's Brews and Biz at marketingsooner.com, Brews and Biz on all socials, brewsandbiz.com. Super easy to get hold of.
Oh yeah.
Submit guests and things like that too. So, from that,
Cool, man.
Ever been
Thank you,
inverted?
Brandon. Always. Thank you for having me, man.